This is Nagarajan. In today's technical session, I'm going to walk you through the different set of principles. I mean the best practices of web test automation. I'm not going to elaborate at each and every point or the line items. I'm just going to touch upon the most important points that you must remember while working with automation framework or even with the standalone test scripts. At the end of the video, I'm sure you would have learned the very best standards that are needed for the automation. One more thing, these principles are very helpful to crack any client interviews. So whenever you go for an interview, you can have a light glance at it. That definitely gives you more confidence. I've covered almost everything right from basics to the advanced level. I'm just going to share you 60 principles. I'll be sharing them into 3 different parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. One last thing. Let's try to wrap these points quickly. I don't want to talk more theories. I've already provided the test scripts, use cases, snapshots on each slide. I believe that would be more self-sufficient to understand. Let's get started right away. The first one, whenever you create an automation framework, make sure to create a Mavenized framework instead of a Java framework. For Java framework, you need to download the JARs manually. That's a troublesome process. In case of Mavenized framework, the JARs get automatically downloaded from the Maven repository. Our main job is to place all the dependencies inside a pom.xml file. That's it. The second one, create a test framework with well-defined structure. I mean, with the source folders, src main Java, src main resources, src test Java, src test resources, and also with the test reports, test snapshots, test.xml file, pom.xml file. To understand more about it, you can refer my already posted videos, that is Selenium Automation Framework videos, part 1 to part 5. Let's move on. The very important thing, while working with the web automation, always ensure to have the updated browsers with the latest drivers. I mean Chrome driver, Firefox driver, or Opera driver, or whatever driver that you are using. This would avoid the test failures during the automation run. Try implementing the WebDriver manager in place of driver.exe files. If you are not aware of it, watch my already posted video. You can refer my Selenium playlist. Let's move on. This is the first and foremost step before we create an automation framework. Create a test plan that should comprise of these important elements, or even we should call these as components: objective, scope of automation, resources, roles and responsibilities of each resources, different testing tools, test schedules, test environment, test deliverables, risk and mitigation, test data, test reports, and test results. Let's move on. Based on my experience, I'm saying this, most of the automation engineers are always willing to develop the test scripts immediately as and when the use case is ready. That's fine. I appreciate the interest, but still we must need to frame all the test scenarios, test cases, test data to automate. Those are very essential things. With the test case preparation or get them from the manual testing team, ensure that all the test cases are in place and then proceed with the test script development. That would be an ideal approach. Do not focus only on automating the business logic. There are different scenarios which need to be automated. We should keep them in mind. Ensure to cover these scenarios. I mean, page title verification, URL redirection, content verification, error message validation, data flow between the pages. I mean, between the product page, checkout page, payment page, etc. At times, we might need to restrict the page if a user clicks on browser back button. So as part of web automation, our automation scope is more apart from business logic. Whenever you face an UAT bug or production bug, the entire team focus will be on the fix workaround and the deployment process. That's quite obvious. But as an automation engineers, we must need to make a note of the bug and include them in the automation test suite. By this way, test suite helps us to find the bugs in future. It acts like a gatekeeper. I would say bodyguard for us. Let's move on. Try to have a separate framework for web testing and API testing. Don't put them into a single framework. That would mess you up completely. So we need to be very clear. Let's move on. This is also very important. Try to follow the rules for package name, class name, variable name, method name. We always focus on automating the use cases and we don't actually find time to have proper naming convention. But when the code goes for code review, we all come to know. That creates a bad impression on us. So spend 10 minutes of your time. That is more than enough. Correct the code with the proper naming convention. That's it. Let's move on. Avoid creating any unnecessary variable. Inside this method getCurrentDateTime, we have the variable currentDateVal. This is not at all needed. You can assign the value directly, something like this. This is the minute thing, but still we need to do that. Don't leave the commented lines in the code. If you don't want, remove those lines. That definitely avoids more confusion. And also try to add more comments to the methods, test, parameters. What for you have written the method. That gives an idea to the other people so that they'll easily understand your code. This is an extra work for us, but this is how we can develop the framework with excellency. Let's move on. Implementing the OOPS concept in the automation framework. This is an art for Java, so Selenium body needs that art to progress better. Refer my already posted videos for these concepts. Let's move on. This is the funniest thing that I see from many test scripts. Empty methods in the class. It's like empty students in the class. What's the use of the class? You can say other methods are there now. If you say like that, I don't have an answer for that. So please remove them if not needed or even if it's not done. Avoid placing the test assertion inside a before test or after test. Prerequisite for a test can be placed inside the before test. I mean, creating the driver instance or launching the process can be placed inside the before test. And inside the after test, DB connections can be closed or test reports can be flushed. Let's move on. Do not put all the assertions inside a single test. If one assertion fails and the rest of the assertion won't get executed, if you actually need that kind of a test case, you can very well do that. But you must be aware of it before you assert something. That's it. Let's move on. Odd assertion, soft assertion. It's a nice concept. As the name indicates, it's hard. So if one assertion fails, the complete test gets failed. When we go for a soft assertion, it's a soft one, right? It won't behave as like hard. We can also make the soft assertion to perform like odd assertion. You can do that using assertAll method. In the first snapshot, soft assertion is a success one. In the second snapshot, the same soft assertion is a failure one. If you're creating different tests for the automation, try to avoid the dependency between one test with the other. You can have something like this: login test for login page validation, home page test for home page validation, profile test for profile page validation, product test for product page validation. 80% dependency removal is not at all possible. The data flow always ties up to the different pages. But please keep that in mind to create independent tests as long as we could. Let's move on. Try to have this enable equal to true or enable equal to false. That ensures the appropriate test to get triggered. Just a simple thing that would help us if you are in a situation to run the selected test. That's it. Let's move on. This one I've seen many times. People would always hardcode the URL directly inside the test script. That's not fair. I would suggest you to get the URL from config file, something like this, and you can use it inside the test script. prop.get property of stage URL. With this, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have enjoyed the video. We have a lot more to learn. I'll see you guys in the part 2 session. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.